Okay, how are you? You okay?
Very well, hey?
Okay, so well, most people know you, the ones that are part of Corpus, and but for those that don't know you, how would you describe Norena or Lady Norena?
Lady Norena is a child of God, a lover of life. She's a giver of hope, and then she's also a mother, and she's also a wife, and she's a sports enthusiast, and just believes in humanity.
Okay, so Corpus is a big thing. Did you see it being here? How did the whole thing start?
Seriously, at the time that the first conversation happened, which is the Corpus chat, we had 12 girls in total, and I really didn't think it would get to where we are today. It's been a phenomenal journey, and it all started with me wanting to have conversations with young women. I remember I had attended a CNBC Africa event when I was working for Finance Bank at that time, and in that room I remember there was either a head of department or general manager or an MD, and at that time I was the assistant director for marketing and communications at Finance Bank. When I looked around the room, I was like, no, the person who's supposed to be listening to this conversation is not us in the room. Perhaps maybe some of us, but I just thought the young girl out there who has a dream or has a passion, who wants to get ahead and do great things for herself, is the young woman who's supposed to be listening to this conversation. Because at that conversation, there was Dr. Kankasamawula speaking. I think Monica was also speaking. Very great women were speaking on that day. And I made a mental note that I'd like to create a platform such as this for young women. And that's how Corpus was birthed. And in fact, Corpus Chat is the signature event for Corpus. So when it all started with 12 girls, I didn't realize we'll get to having at a Corpus Chat having 200 girls in one room, 220 sometimes in one room. I didn't realize that we'll get into kitwe and also in dollar. So it's been a great journey, and I love it, absolutely love it.
So what happens at Corpus? What is it all about? Is it just about motivating these young girls? What exactly happens there?
So Corpus is a young women's organization that focuses on the empowerment of young women. We envision a society where young women have a clear understanding of who they are, their purpose, their capabilities, and their self-worth. So it's all about empowerment, it's about motivation, it's about inspiration, but most importantly, it's transformation. And we want to, we look at the transformation of the mind. We want to eradicate what I call the poverty mindset. If we're going to train true leaders, because that's what we're doing, training leaders for positive change, we have to work with the mind. So when we talk about empowerment, we're empowering the mind. Because if you give somebody money without empowering the mind, it's gone to waste. You can give her 1 million kwacha today, but if you haven't taught her the right skills and given her the right opportunities, that 1 million is going to go down the drain. So Corpus focuses on the transformation of mind and ensuring that they're in the right mindset.
Okay, and so far, how would you say your success rate has been?
Oh, it's been amazing. I'll tell you one thing. Obviously, we've had girls who've come in. Others, for instance, one of the girls is from Mutendere who got a scholarship through Corpus, went through school, passed very well. And it was a scholarship that was given by HLB Reliance for a girl to study banking and finance. And as we speak right now, she's working for HLB as an audit associate. We've had young women who started businesses and they're thriving in their businesses, whether it's in the fashion industry or some of them are doing farming. So I would say the success rate has been pretty good. But one of the things that you must understand is that when we're talking about the transformation of mind, sometimes you might think it's not a once-off, like it's like a magic wand that has been put. It's a seed that you'll plant. So some of the things that we are doing today might not materialize in 1 year, 2 years, but it's something that we're going to see 5 years, 10 years from now. So I'd like to say the impact. Sometimes I don't see the impact. Sometimes I get feedback from parents, from associates of the girls when they interact with them, because one thing that you can see from a Corpus girl is the confidence that she will have. And one of the things that we want to achieve is for this girl to have value and to create value wherever she is placed, whether she is at home as a caregiver, or she's at church, or she's at a workplace, she's in the market, wherever God places her, she should be able to add value. So that's our aim at Corpus.
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that young women and girls are facing, and how do we get around them?
It's belief, hey, and the confidence. First of all, being in an environment where we all tend to think that the world really will favor the structures, I think, have almost favored the young man or the man. But one of the things then that we need to do is create and give them the right opportunities and the right skills and the platform, and also just to give her a pat on the back and say that she can do it. Most of them, I can assure you, is really the confidence, the belief in themselves that they can actually do it. The environment as well, the structural environments, the cultural environments, also play a very big role in these young women's lives. For instance, she's coming from a home, it's extremely traditionalist. There's certain things that she cannot do. So you will have a conversation at Corpus, but then how does she able to translate that when she goes back at home? So we need to find a way of harmonizing our conversation even with the parents. And some of the things that we want to do for Corpus is to invite the parents to come through, and we have the conversations with them. But what I've seen with the girls, I can assure you, is obviously the confidence, but also the support system from home as well that is really needed for them to be able to push forward.
You've invited a lot of speakers to speak at your Corpus chats. What do you think has been, over the years, the consistent message that they've been communicating to these girls?
Very simple. The reason for the Corpus chats or any other platform that we've created is to invite men and women who've done tremendous things in their lives, things that may seem impossible to achieve. And the whole idea is to bring these women, these are women and men from different walks of life, because we believe everybody deserves a chance to live. So whether you're in the fashion industry, you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, you're in medicine, we'll bring people like that to come into environment. The consistent message has been very simple. It is for us to give possibility, to show possibility for this young woman, for this young girl to see that she can. So the message has been very simple. It is just to show possibility. That even as a young woman, they've gone through so many things as they speak up there, and the young woman is sitting there and thinking, can I? So all we want to show is possibility. And once you can show possibility, I can assure you great things are going to happen in this country, and already great things are happening as a result of the girls having interactions at Corpus.
And let's talk about the women in general, the successful women that come for Corpus. What do you think it is that they have in common that has led them to where they are today?
Tenacity, and a can-do attitude, and knowing that they have, it's almost like they have a responsibility for them to do much more because of the young women that are behind them. So the drive to do much better, and also consistency, and the tenacity, and the can-do attitude. That is one thing I've seen in the women that have come through to Corpus, because most of them, obviously, when they were starting out, and if we have MDs and general managers and heads of department and all that, obviously they all came from a place where when you're coming up, you're like, am I going to do it? Am I going to achieve? But one thing that I've noticed with all of them, they have a can-do attitude. They all started out stating that they can, and they eventually became. So it's the tenacity and the can-do attitude.
Okay. Many women, I think you agree with me, in today's society face the challenge of the pressure to find someone to marry when they're 30. It becomes, you begin to panic and stuff like that. And many of them, society makes people believe that you have to get married by 30, yeah, you already look like you want to respond.
It irks me. I'll tell you what, I think even in the Bible, there's no age defined in terms of when a person should get married. I've had friends of mine, in fact, I've got a very good friend of mine, she only got married at age 35 after she had gone through, in fact, she's a doctor as we speak, and even specialized. Then she got married. She didn't die. And right now, I mean, she's happily married. Society will do that to us. I don't think marriage or a man will define who you really are. One of the things that we emphasize at Corpus is that let him find you in your journey, in your purpose, and he will align, hopefully. But what has happened is the excitement around the wedding, because I think it's not really the marriage, because some of them don't really understand the significance of a wedding because it leads into marriage. So what I tell them is that take your time, because the person that you eventually end up with must be able to support you, must be able to support your career and your purpose and where you are going. So we want young women to just take your time. It is okay not to get married at 20. It is okay not to get married at 25 or even 30. I just don't want young women to feel the pressure. Let them focus on themselves. And believe me, the universe aligns. Once you focus on yourself and you know exactly what you want, that's where you are going to go. Because value, believe me, is not determined because then you've got a man beside you. Value is determined by what you bring on the table as a human being, as an individual. When he comes, it's a compliment. And young women should never ever feel the pressure. It is okay. Because that life partner, believe me, is the biggest decision that you'll have to make, the person that you marry, because then they have to align with who you are. The minute you make that wrong decision because you feel the pressure, and we had a conversation not too long at the last Corpus chat, I asked them 4 questions. It was number 1, do you really know this person that you are going to get married to? And number 2 is, are you just feeling the pressure? Or the third question that we asked them was, are you just settling? And the last one was one of those, I had to just throw it in, Nangumu ngulufe, you know what I mean? Because you felt like you just have to settle. You must take time to understand the person that you're going to get married to. It's the biggest decision that you ever have to make in your life. I wonder why we don't take time, because if you're signing a contract, you want to make sure who's behind. Let's say if you're doing a merger of companies coming together, who is involved in this? People do serious due diligence. But then why don't we do the same when we're talking about our marriage partners? For the young woman out there, please take your time. Know the person that you're getting married to and don't feel the pressure.
Okay, so we've talked about those who are not married. Let's now talk about those who have already gone into marriage. Mm-hmm. And now they're at a point where maybe I find myself with a partner who, like you said, is supposed to align with my goals and my ambition, but doesn't, not as supportive. How do women still manage to get the best out of a marriage like that?
Flee. I'm just kidding, no. You're going to have to train yourself. I call it you have to develop mental strength. And in fact, this is something we spoke about. And I said, you know, the minute you get into this because you did not know. But what is important is when you, at the beginning, when you know some of these things about this individual, and I'll tell you what, God gives us signals, really, about the person that you're going to get married to. So sometimes I tell girls that, did you see some of these things? Some of them will be like, no. I said, no, you did see these things. So when they finally manifest, you shouldn't really get shocked. However, when they do manifest, you're not very comfortable, you're going to have to work with it. It's very difficult to walk away, and it's also very difficult to stay. So when you decide to stay in an environment that you think is not pushing and is not doing all these things, you're going to have to make a decision how you're going to work at it. Have a conversation with your partner and say, this is where I'm going. How then do we move together? But try and get him into, get a buy-in from him and make him really understand. Sometimes we tend to just say things anyhow. And we talk about having confidence. The confidence that we possess as women, or we should possess, is not the confidence where you're cocky, but a confidence where you're extremely sure of yourself, and make your partner understand where you are going and how he can help you go on that journey. So have the conversation with him. Try and make him see your point of view, and hopefully you'll be able to come up with an amicable solution for you to still be able to stay together and you move with your purpose.
Okay, next, let's talk about, I think some of the biggest challenges most women face is balancing between their role as a mother, sometimes as a wife, and also trying to still push a career or trying to push a business. You want to go to the next level at your job. From your experience, what do you think works? Does one have to suffer, or can both family and work still move at the same pace?
There's no balance, hey? You will never strike a balance. The scale can never be like this. It will be like that, it will be like that. So you never strike the balance. I always tell, there's no work-life balance. It's impossible. It doesn't exist. But what is important is you strive. You won't really get the balance, but you'll have to prioritize. And also, one of the things that has worked for me, especially when I was in a driven corporate career, was I started. How can I put it? You know, where you become present at any given time. So if it's work, focus on work at that particular time. If it's home, when you get home, get into mommy mode, and it's going to be mommy mode. When you're at church, and then while you're present, also enjoy every facet of your life. The reason we get so frustrated is because you are at home and all of a sudden you remember something that is at work, you start feeling frustrated. You are at work and then there's something that is happening at home, you start feeling frustrated. One of the other things that has worked for me as well is to have a support system. We are so blessed, I'm telling you, in what can I say, Africa, but perhaps let me zero it to Zambia. We are so blessed to have a support system. You can call upon your mother to come in and babysit for you. You can actually afford, some of you can actually, or some of us can actually afford a nanny or a housekeeper. You can have your cousin or your aunt look after your kids while you have to go away, maybe if you are away for a week or two. So for me, it's impossible to be superwoman. I am not superwoman, but what I've learned is being present, enjoying every facet of my life, and having a very strong support system.
Okay, I'm happy you mentioned support system because you said it earlier and I wanted to get back to it. Support system for young women in the country in terms of businesses. I want to start a business. What support system do I have? Maybe I want to grow in my career. Most friends are known for stories and chats and, oh, what's new? Look, it's happening on Facebook. What's trending? How do people build support systems that really become to be one that has a positive influence on their lives?
Be intentional, hey? Just be intentional and also allow yourself to learn. I know with the way the world is nowadays in wanting to look like superwoman, want to be driven, and you don't want to listen to anybody, you will not go anywhere. And also being able to create what we're calling social capital, and having the right people in your circle. So it just can't be anyhow and anyone. You have to be intentional about the people that you want in your life. Also pray about it, hey? Ask God for wisdom in terms of who should be the right people in your circle. So the support system for me is being intentional about the people that you want in your life and know exactly where you're going. 1 minute you're doing this, next minute you're doing that, next minute you're doing that. So I don't know how many people are going to be involved in your life. So just take a stock of your life in terms of where do you want to go and zero in on that and find the right people to come and help you, but most importantly, just be intentional.
Okay, thank you. At the beginning of our conversation, I think one of the first things you mentioned that describes you is the spiritual aspect, the church. How do you feel that has impacted on who you've become, and how different do you think your life would have been if that part of it was missing?
I'm telling you, I thank God for God. I thank God for God. Oh my goodness. As you grow older, obviously where you read the Bible once in a while and you pray. But I think in the last decade, when you realize that the word is extremely important in your life, because I'll tell you what, the Bible is your guiding principle. In fact, the Bible is like a constitution of the world, hey? And then we should treat it like that. So it's everything that is in there is law. And if you want anything in terms of guidance, you'll find it in that book of law. The word is very, very simple. It's a lamp unto our feet and also a strong tower. And you can always go back to it and make reference. For me, that has been very important in terms of everything that I want, I'll find it in that word. And I can have a conversation with God. I'll tell you what, you don't walk around. Somebody asked me a question in terms of how then, when you're in the corporate space, being a Christian, I said, you don't walk around with a tag at the back of at the back saying Christian here. It doesn't work like that. But for me, what I always say, please represent Jesus well wherever you are. It's because you might be the only Jesus that people see. And then they need to be attracted and be comfortable with you in that environment. So for me, it is about being comfortable and having that relationship with Him. And it has worked very well for me. So I'm very happy that God is an extreme important part of my life. And I would urge for people to have that personal relationship with Him.
I followed your Corpus work, and I think there's a series you were running where you have people give advice to their younger selves, and so now I'll pose it to you. What advice would you give to
to my younger self? Oh wow, hey, oh gosh, be kind to yourself, hey, and also to realize that you are as much human as everybody else, and you will make mistakes. And the reason I say that, be kind to yourself, because there was a time I just thought everything had to be perfect, like I had to be on top of the game, and because I drove myself to that point, so when things don't happen the way they should, I would really get frustrated. So one of the things I'll tell myself is be kind to yourself, hey? But also, if I had to look back, if anybody had to ask me in terms of where would I have wanted my life to change, with what I know now, perhaps the way it is the way God intended to be. Because if you asked me this question maybe 20 years ago in terms of where would I'd have started giving you times, maybe when I was 15, that should have gone that way and everything. With what I know now, let life run its course. And even when you make mistakes, for as long as God has got a purpose for your life, He realigns. So with everything that has happened to me today, I know for sure now that there's a purpose and there's a reason it happened, and to make me the woman that I am today.
Okay, cool. What's the one quality that you think every woman must have for her to grow?
Are you ready for this one? It's very simple. A woman should be classy, should be graceful, should be confident, with a little bit of kopala.
Explain the kopala part. Because I know you went to an event at the Continental, and then when you're called to speak, you walked in dancing to Shefi 187. So I think that's a kopala part. What's the kopala part?
The kopala is the extreme form of confidence. I mean, I'm sure you will agree with me. There's that confidence, and there's a lot of tenacity. There's a go-getter in a kopala. Like there's no way, you can't give up. You have to dust yourself up, and if you fall, get up, you move on. That's the spirit. That's a kopala mentality that you keep pushing until you get it done. So that's the thing when I say you must be classy, you must be graceful, you must be confident, but you must have a bit of kopala, because then the world is not fair, hey? And the world does not care whether you're a woman or a man, but you just have to deliver. And that is one thing that a woman should have.
Thank you. As we come to an end, where do you see Corpus? Because I know that when you created the whole Corpus initiative, you had a vision for, okay, I think this should be our ultimate goal. What has to happen for you at Corpus to say, okay, we've scored, we've nailed it, we existed for this and we've achieved?
When Corpus gets to the rest of the world.
Interesting.
Yeah. I strongly believe that if certain organizations came into Africa, why can Corpus go to the rest of Africa and to the rest of the world? And then the beauty will be one day, maybe even a couple of years from now, where there's just a photo of me in some office somewhere in Geneva, hey? Or in Santon. And they'll be like, who's that woman? They'll be like, oh, that's our founder. Oh, okay. And people just continue. Then I would have done my part.
Great. March is Women's Month. What would you like to say to women? It should... Women's Day or Women's Month should not just be a one-time activity. The conversations must continue. So in terms of, we can sit and talk about and march and do all sorts of things, but for me the conversations must continue. Women's Month, Women's Day is about demonstrating the support that we have for one another as women. So all I'll say to the woman out there, young or old, just remember you have to be your sister's keeper. When she's hurting, you're also hurting, hey? When she wins, we applaud. She needs your support. If she fails, we don't laugh, we learn, and we help and pick her up. So it's about creating that support system as women. So it should be a constant conversation, because she is as much woman as you are, and she needs your support and your love. Okay, the more you talk, the more questions I have. Sorry, I have to ask you this. There's this thing that women don't support each other.
I don't know it. I don't. I'll tell you what, and this I say it, I'm sure if you ask any Corpus girls, I say this all the time. I don't believe in that narrative, and I never want to fuel it, and I don't want to give it life. We need to change the narrative. Men don't support each other either, but they don't voice it, hey? So I'd like women to change the narrative and say women do support each other. So for me, when you come into Corpus environment, I always say, girls, you must support one another. Yes, there have been instances where women don't tend to do things the way they should, but I'd like us to change the narrative. Let's voice something that we really want to see. What do we want to see? Do we want to see us supporting one another? Then let's do that and let us voice it. Once we voice it, the universe conspires to make it happen. So I strongly believe that women should and must support one another. And I never want to give that narrative life when they say women don't support each other. I would never want to do that, because I want to pull another young woman coming, another woman, when she wins, it's a win for everyone. So yeah, let's focus and change the narrative and voice what we really want to see. And that's support for women.
Thank you, Norena. I think we've come to the end. Is there anything you think we've forgotten to talk about?
No, I think we've spoken about everything. Yeah.
Okay. No, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been absolutely amazing. Loved it, loved it, loved it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I enjoyed that. I can do this every day.
Yeah, makes the two of us.